Hi there, this is Sarah Horn from the Career Office at UWF, and in this presentation I'm going to be talking about behavioral interviewing and telling stories in interviews. So this is going to be super quick, just introducing you to the idea of behavioral interviewing. So behavioral interviewing it's really a type of interview question that asks about how you've handled challenging situations in the past. And these are really valuable to employers because they help employers learn about your soft skill set and your personal qualities. So when I say soft skills, I mean things like problem solving, conflict resolution, perseverance, integrity, communication, teamwork, all of those skills that are really important to being a successful professional, but are honestly really hard to evaluate. Like you could take a calculus test and an employer would then have some, idea of how you perform in terms of calculus, but it can be really challenging to give you like a test on any of these things. So behavioral interview questions are the best tool that interviewers have to get an idea of how you handle challenging situations. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few examples of behavioral interviewing questions. So most behavioral interviewing questions begin with the phrase, describe a time when, or tell me about a time when, or tell me about a situation when, ... And a few scenarios that they might offer or ask about are, tell me about a time when you mentored someone, or tell me about a time when you had to adhere to strict guidelines, or tell me about a time when you failed. Maybe tell me about a time when you had to resolve a conflict with a coworker or deal with a difficult customer. So these are situations where your soft skill set are put to the test, and an employer wants you to tell a story then about how you handled that situation so that then they can have confidence in your ability to handle similar situations moving forward. So I was thinking it would probably be helpful to talk about some of the situations that I listed on the previous screen and what type of qualities an employer is looking for in the answers that you provide. So talking about mentoring another person, an employer is probably looking to see your patience, wisdom, teaching abilities, those types of things, maybe because that is an important component of the job. Adhering to strict guidelines, of course, they want to see your ability and past experience adhering to guidelines or policies. Maybe if you're working in a workplace that has some really strict policies, like perhaps law enforcement or not production, what's the word I'm looking for? Manufacturing. Those are some workplaces where it's really important to be able to adhere to a set of guidelines that are given to you by your company. To tell them about a time when you failed, they're not probably looking for you to just like rag on yourself or beat yourself up for that failure, but they're looking for you to demonstrate resilience and how you bounced back from that failure and your responsibility over that failure. They want to see you take ownership of your mistake, but they also want to see resilience in the way that you move forward and continue on with your life, having learned a lesson from that situation. Resolving a conflict with a coworker could demonstrate conflict resolution, problem solving, communication, empathy, and even patience. And dealing with a difficult customer is really similar to this. Patience, active listening skills, sometimes even policy adherence if a customer is asking for something that isn't available to them or allowed within your policy, you would need to be able to know that. And also problem solving. So I hope that this is helpful in looking at a situation that an employer might ask you to tell them about and what types of qualities they're looking for in asking you that question. So just to summarize and review, behavioral interview questions ask about how you've handled challenging situations in the past, and it helps employers get to know your soft skill set. The best way to respond to these types of questions is by telling a story about a time where you really have had to handle that type of a situation. And in the next video called Star Interviewing, I will go over the best strategy for telling that story. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful.